Welcome to Things Most Surely Believed. The title of our ministry is taken from Luke 1:1. For as much as many have taken in hand to set forth in order, a declaration of those things which are most surely believed among us. And we want to welcome you to Things Most Surely Believed. We're at the beginning of this ministry. We have 4 devotionals on the Great Commission, 7 on God's glorious creation. We're hoping to add some more videos soon on the cross of Christ. We'd love to have you contact us and let us know perhaps which video is the greatest blessing to you, and we're open to suggestions, and we would just love to know what you're thinking, and are so glad that you're part of this ministry. Today we have a special blessing. Evangelist Dan Manka is going to be our guest teacher and bring a special object lesson.
Hello there. I brought with me an ocarina today. It's a musical instrument. It's a very simple instrument. It has some holes for your fingers and thumbs, and it's also called a sweet potato. And it sounds like this. I'd like to talk about the sweet potato, and I teach history. I love history, and I want to tell you about somebody for whom my county is named. I come from Marion County, West Virginia, and Marion County is named for the swamp fox. The swamp fox was General Francis Marion, and he was from South Carolina during the American War for Independence, and he would be out there on Snow Island where his headquarters was, and there wasn't anything there but a swamp. And then he'd come through the swamp, he would attack the British, our enemy, and then he'd retreat quickly. He'd attack them some other place and retreat quickly, and they couldn't find him out there on Snow Island. They couldn't find him out there in the swamp. And so one of the British officers called him a swamp fox, and it stuck. And that was his nickname, the swamp fox. And they had captured a British officer and took him out there to Snow Island, and he realized, my, here are all these men out here. They didn't even have gunpowder, or they had gunpowder but they didn't have bullets, and they would go attack their enemy without even being able to shoot them, and they would attack quickly and come back in guerrilla warfare, and they're out there living in the swamp, going through the swamp, smelly and stinky and everything. And he was there for supper, and this Francis Marion and his men, they fed the captured officer. And what they did is they took sweet potatoes. I don't mean an ocarina. I don't mean a musical instrument. I mean a real sweet potato. They took those sweet potatoes and they put them in there next to the fire, and they made a little hole there in the ashes where the coals were, and they rolled those sweet potatoes in there with a stick and covered them over with the ash and with the coals. And after a while, of course, we're talking to Francis Marion's talking to the POW there, the captured officer. After a while, he takes a stick and he moves the ashes away, he moves the coals away, and he rolls those sweet potatoes out to let them cool. And then he takes his knife and he starts carving. He gives one to the officer over there, he carves another one open, and he starts eating it. And the British officer said, "We can't win." "Why is that?" "You mean to tell me that all your men, they fight and they risk their lives to fight against the British army, a trained army, they fight against them, and all they get are sweet potatoes? Well, we have to give our soldiers, the British soldiers and the hired mercenaries, we have to give them money, we have to have all this equipment, we have to feed them well, and then maybe they hardly fight. And you have men who will fight and risk their lives for sweet potatoes? There's no way the British Army is going to win. We were going to beat them, and we did, and we have a country. Why? Well, in part because of Francis Marion and his sweet potatoes. And God wants us to have a heart to do the right thing. God wants us to be willing to do things for Him. It might be that you're out on the mission field, and maybe you won't have Wendy's and McDonald's like we have here. You might have to live on beans and rice, but you'd be doing it for God. I wonder, would we be willing to sacrifice, like Marion and his men, for the King of Kings, as they sacrificed to have a new nation? Would we be willing to live on something like sweet potatoes for God and do His bidding and do His will and do it from the heart? just like our patriots did during the American War for Independence.
Thank you so much, Evangelist Manka, for that object lesson. And thank you so much for joining us for Things Most Surely Believed.